Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk about all things Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Beanie, back for the second time today. So nice you get to see me twice. Gonna start off in the comment section right off the bat here to this evening. Chad Schrader, sup? I seen our Steelers signed a safety today. I did see that as well. We are going to get to that here in a little bit. Lots to talk about here on this Wednesday night. Talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates first. That's how we will start things off here today, and their absolute horrendousness in front of Paul Skenes. Also, we will talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of their corners really upsetting some members of the fan base, including myself originally. You guys know my alma mater on this channel. Also, we'll talk about the Steelers. Again, still in talks with the Miami Dolphins, apparently, for tight end Jonnu Smith. But that trade just got a whole hell of a lot more likely to happen. Also, recapping the Pittsburgh Penguins making a hiring today. I was live earlier this afternoon talking about the hire of Dan Muse from the New York Rangers as the 23rd Penguins head coach in franchise history. And then we will get into some other loose stories as they come by. First thing is first, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to like this video or like this live stream, share it, and comment in the live section just like Chad. I appreciate it and would enjoy interacting with you fine folks once again. We had a lot of interaction on the Dan Muse breaking news story this afternoon. Got 11 more subscribers. We are up now past 400 subscribers. I'm going to pop that up. Thank you all very, very much to those of you who subscribed here this afternoon, and hope you keep coming back. Hope some of you have returned right now. We are going to kick things off, like I said, with the Pittsburgh Pirates and just how freaking frustrating this team has become to watch lately. Last time we saw Paul Skenes on a big league mound prior to last night, the team, they played arguably their best game of the season. They beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 10-1 with that singular run coming in garbage time when it was the ninth inning and the game was well out of reach well beforehand. Fast forward to last night, Skenes on the mound, absolutely dominant. He had back-to-back 1-2-3 innings. The defense, they did come to play behind him. Spencer Horwitz flashed a glove there at first base. There was a key double play turned in one of those early innings, an inning-ending double play. O'Neal Cruz continues to flash his potential as a center fielder. He looks more and more comfortable out there as the games go on. But on the other side, Bucks, per usual for most of this year, couldn't do a damn thing with the bats. They made Lance McCullers, a guy who had not won a major league game since 2022 due to undergoing Tommy John surgery and other injuries. I don't know his full medical history here. They made that guy look like he was Nolan Ryan going against Paul Skenes right there. Bucks couldn't do anything. Then I think it was in the seventh inning, Paul Skenes made one bad pitch to Christian Walker, the Astros first baseman. He deposits it into the left field seats. It was 1-0 Astros. Skenes went back out, pitched the eighth inning, and his stat line, just one run given up, only 3 hits allowed, one of those to home run, had 8 punch outs, 1 walk, 99 pitches, 68 of which were strikes, and he threw 7 different pitches. He also threw 22 of 27 batters first pitch strikes, and he had 21 whiffs. Just absolutely dominant, and at that point was on the hook for another loss. Dennis Santana, he comes in at the top of the ninth, arguably the Bucks' best bullpen guy. He can't get it done either. He gives up, I think, a 2-run shot. 3-0 was the final score. And for the second time in Paul Skenes' last 4 starts that he pitched 8 innings, one of which on the road was a complete game, he allowed 1 run, on 3 hits with at least 8 strikeouts and took the loss. In his last 5 starts now, Paul Skenes has a 1.04 ERA, 4 earned runs in 34 and 2/3 innings pitched. His record 1-2, the Pirates' record in those games 2-3. Just absolute horrendousness. You're gonna want to throw up if you're a diehard Pirates fan reading some of these stats here. Skenes is now the first pitcher since Pedro Martinez in 2000 to lose twice in a season in starts in which he gave up the stat line that I mentioned: 8+ innings, 1 run, less than one or 1 walk or less, and 8+ strikeouts. So terrible this year. Now Skenes in 13 games started, 83 1/3 innings pitched, a 2.05 ERA. I believe at one point in last night's ball game, I'm not sure if it's still that right now. I would have to look it up. I think his career ERA is below 2, if not at 2 or slightly by the slightest of margins above. So Skenes this season, 13 games started, 2.05 ERA and 0.88 whip, 85 Ks to 19 walks. Opponents are batting 181 against him, 4-6 record on the season. Completely and totally unreal. By the way, Pirates, that 3-0 loss, it is their 10th shutout of the season, a major league leading 10th shutout loss, and that is now 10 in 61 games, and I think they are still above 25% of their losses being blanked. So just absolutely terrible. I don't know what else I can say about this team that hasn't already been said. I think we could firmly look at last night's ball game, and for those people who say, "Oh, watch the Pirates," they still might. Who knows with Bob Nutting and what all he thinks, but their thought is that, hey, if this team is doing much better under Donnie Kelly, that could warranted Ben Cherington staying. This right here should prove why he needs to be fired already and why he should have gotten fired with Derek Shelton. The offense is so historically putrid. Hell, even you want to know how bad the offense is. If the offense, instead of being complete and total dog feces, if they were even below average, they may have swept a series this season. But to this point, the Colorado Rockies, who are on pace to be the worst team in MLB history, they just won and swept a series before the Pirates did this year. All because the offense is garbage. Paul Skenes continues to be the best pitcher walking God's green earth today, and it's not even close. Also, you got Mitch Keller. He deserves better than what results he's been getting. You got no Jared Jones, but that's no excuse. Andrew Heaney, he was a pleasant surprise out of the gate. He's faltered down a little bit. Speaking of falter, Bailey Falter, he's been unbelievable. Just wrapped up a historic May for himself. And, at this point, I'm done talking about this team. It's so frustrating. Of course, I'm going to watch. What else am I going to do during the summer? But day by day, start by start, inning by inning, the Pittsburgh Pirates team are not the team itself. The players, they deserve better. Some of them don't deserve to be here, but I think we know who those are. But those running the organization, aside from Don Kelly, who's doing a phenomenal job, much better than Derek Shelton in the same exact scenario, they are willingly failing to build around Paul Skenes. And it goes back to that quote from Jeff Passan yesterday in one of his MLB articles right here. It said, when analyzing, what all 30 MLB teams are doing and what their objective is, the quote, "Continue the ruse of acting like they want to win when the approach suggests otherwise." Go watch last night's game from beginning to end, and you will see that exact quote acted out live and in living color. But it's just every day, every time I see Paul Skenes go out there and look like the absolute world beater he is, and he has nothing to show for it but a loss next to his name just about every game to this point. It's frustrating, and honestly, it makes you wonder. It makes me wonder too, though. I'm a diehard Pittsburgh fan. I follow the Bucks to hell. It's just that I wish the Bucks would stop going to hell so often. It makes you wonder, and it boosts the case of a lot of people, including myself, to just drop this team and walk out the door in 2 to 3 years when Paul Skenes gets traded for peanuts and a $25 Permanis gift card, because it's so frustrating to this point. If you guys are feeling the same feeling as me, by all means, let your feelings known in the comments section, because I don't know what else to do with this team. I mean, Ben Cherington needs to be fired. You cannot see him undergo another trade deadline in which, going over Jeff Passan's trade deadline, objective thing there from yesterday. He said, well, Tommy Pham's going to be gone. Andrew Heaney will get traded. Pretty much everybody on a 1-year contract is going to go, and possibly Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds on top of it, because they are making too much money and not living up to what their pay grade is. At least Ke'Bryan Hayes by a lot. Brian Reynolds, he might be starting to, come around here in June, but we'll see what happens tonight. It's just absolutely sucking the joy out of summer. Vibes are supposed to be high. Summer is getting warmer. It actually felt like summer for the first time in a long time here in Western Pennsylvania. And meanwhile, the Bucks, they just continue to take this whole fan base down with them, because they are lazy. They don't do anything. Bob Nutting, even though his heart's in the right place, his wallet is in the complete and total opposite. Ben Cherington continuing to bring in retreads and players past their prime. That's really, panned out, and he hasn't changed that philosophy for the past 3 years now. And you just got to wonder, back to Paul Skenes, where this organization would be without him. I mean, they'd be in the place where the Rockies are right now, honestly. I don't think, this fan base could care any less than they do right now. So that's it for Pirate Talk right now. Again, in action tonight. Game starts here in about 35 minutes at 6:40. First pitch. Mike Burrows will be on the mound. Came up from AAA earlier this year, and he's had a rough go of it at the major league level so far. Kind of interesting how they flip-flopped Mike Burrows. They moved him behind Paul Skenes. So now you got Skenes, Mike Burrows, and then Mitch Keller. You're sort of sandwiching in a lesser pitcher in between your two top pitchers right there. You got to wonder if that means Bubba Chandler could be on his way up here soon. We'll talk about Bubba Chandler later on in the random news story segment of the show. But looking at the lineup tonight, O'Neal Cruz leading off center field, Andrew McCutchen DH, Brian Reynolds right field, Spencer Horwitz batting fourth, playing first base. No change in the top four. Ke'Bryan Hayes, who seems to be only good enough for a soft roller to the shortstop or third baseman and a lazy fly ball to right field. He somehow is batting fifth. Adam Frazier bats sixth tonight. He's at second base. Tommy Pham in left. Endy Rodriguez will catch Mike Burrows tonight, batting eighth. And then the setup man for the top of the order, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who might be honestly the best player traded by the Bucks at this year's trade deadline. He bats ninth. Is Kiner-Falefa an everyday guy? Maybe he's starting to, show a little something here, but I'd much rather keep him than trade him at this point. But we will see what happens. 7 of you in here right now. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back. If you joined my live stream earlier today for the announcement of Dan Muse as the Pittsburgh Penguins head coach. If you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to like and share this live stream and to comment in the live section, just like Chad Schrader here. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on what I'm talking about here. Any thoughts, opinions, questions, concerns that you may have, feel free to get those in there, and I can pop those up at a moment's notice. moving into football here, going to chug right along here on today's show. Let's talk about Beanie Bishop, a guy who I did not expect to be talking about on here waking up this morning, except for who knows, maybe if he was doing well in OTAs, but he made a name for himself today on his Instagram. He has since deleted this story, but Beanie Bishop and I guess the rest of the Steelers, I think this was yesterday, not sure if it was today or yesterday, but we know Rooney Sports Complex on the south side of Pittsburgh. It's shared by both the Steelers and the Pitt Panthers, the University of Pittsburgh. Building split up into two sides. Steelers were invited by the University of Pittsburgh over to their side of the building today for what was, I think I heard on 93.7 The Fan, some media obligations, players recording, getting themselves recorded, maybe like doing intros for like Sunday Night Football. You know how players will pop up on the screen, say their name, what college they're from, and whatnot. So Steelers players were over there, and at some point during this media event, Beanie Bishop found a logo of the University of Pittsburgh on the floor. Not sure if this was in the Pitt locker room, though I'm not sure where else this logo would be. But Bishop, a West Virginia Mountaineer alumni, decided to record himself scraping his cleats on the University of Pittsburgh logo. Also, tagging his location, University of Pittsburgh, on it and putting a poop emoji over the word Pittsburgh. Now, I have this right here. I was going to put it on for today's live stream, but it's too hot here to do so. But I'm a Pitt alum. I've said that on here a bunch of times, and I'm completely and totally torn just because he's a Steeler. The inner University of Pittsburgh guy on me wants to yell obscenities into this camera right now, yell at Beanie Bishop. Bishop, by the way, he was approached about this earlier today at OTAs, talking about the backyard brawl and what he did. He said, quote, "It's hatred. You don't have respect for those guys. I don't even like seeing their coaches and players watching us practice. I don't think it should be week 2 or week 3. It should be part of rivalry week." That's what he said about the rivalry between West Virginia and Pitt. Would also go on to say, if you go and ask them, they probably hate me. And do I care? No, not really. That's just part of it. If you go ask any fan in Baltimore, what do they think about the Steelers? They hate us. So it is what it is. Basically showing zero regrets for what he did there. Now back to, putting on my Pitt glasses here for a second. Beanie Bishop, absolutely hate and despise what you did, but that's what rivalry is all about. So because you're a Steeler player, I'm not going to bring up the fact that you lucked into one of your 2 interceptions against the Jets. Otherwise, you were complete and total ass for most of the year last year. I'm also not going to talk about how the remaining or what's left of a once half-decent corner in Cam Sutton replaced you, and also not going to talk about how well you are doing in terms of keeping your roster spot, because we all know that the Steelers signed Brandon Echols this offseason, and you disrespecting the college team that has a pretty good partnership with the professional team will do good for you in that competition with Brandon Echols. That, taking off my Pitt glasses here, not saying anything about it. Actually, could, respect Beanie Bishop for having the balls to do so. Steelers, I think Mike Tomlin, he's famous for the phrase, "I'd rather tell them whoa than sick 'em." He wants dogs on his team. Beanie Bishop, he's going to stir the pot every now and again. That's cool with it. Just at this point, you're in the NFL. I know you're still a West Virginia, alumnus. Even if you were to just, post a picture of you giving the middle finger to the logo, all cool. I don't care. I'd probably do the same thing if I was in the Mountaineers facility. I'd give the logo a middle finger too. But, and this at the same time, going and stomping on the logo, scraping it, possibly causing, some damage to property. I don't think you did it in this case. That's not smart. That's unprofessional. You're with a team now in the city of the college that you hate. Swallow a little bit of pride. Just, you can hate being over on that side. Just remember that you're now in the NFL. You'll be heading into year 2. Also, you were at WVU for 1 year. So we'll see if there's any repercussions from it. He just made life a lot harder on himself, is what I think a lot of people are saying here today. Also, I will say Bishop doing this, it did, I think, light a fire under a lot of Pitt people and Pitt players. So I think I saw, Desmond Reed, he reposted that video. Kyle Lewis, the Pitt Panthers All-American linebacker, he reposted it. So did Rasheem Biles. So it'll be a fun, I think week 2 or week 3 is when the Pitt Panthers are in Morgantown. I will definitely be watching that game and see if there are any repercussions from that. Hell to Pitt. I think we are about to stomp a bigger mud hole than what we probably were originally going to do in the Mountaineers this upcoming college football season. Back to the comment section real quick. Jonathan Harvey, welcome back. Jonathan, Pirates keep failing Skenes, and Skenes will decide to go elsewhere. Guy seems to love being a Pirate, but team is wasting his efforts. And the team wasting his efforts, if you could construct the absolute opposite person to Paul Skenes, I think we all can agree Paul Skenes, he is a man who gives his effort 100%, and he's a man of great integrity. Went to Air Force, very respectable, thinks about a team-first approach, not a me-first approach. Meanwhile, the Pirates this year, they've seemed to done the exact opposite. Everybody puts forth zero effort, from some of the players on the team to those running the team, and also no integrity whatsoever. It goes back to all the off-the-field stuff, the Roberto Clemente thing, the getting rid of the Bucco bricks, and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure they've got 1 or 2, maybe even 3 PR nightmares left in them this upcoming season. So, it's absolutely horrendous to watch. It's like watching the same bad movie every night in which the actors don't know what the hell they're doing, and it's like saying like having like a Hollywood film in which you get an A-list celebrity like Adam Sandler or whoever, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You put him in a movie and you put no effort into the supporting cast or the budget of the movie whatsoever. So Jonathan Harvey again, Beanie Bishop shouldn't be the only one under heavy criticism. Rooney and Tomlin at this point, the Aaron Rodgers thing. Yeah, I mean, even if you want to go Rooney and Tomlin, for the Bishop thing too. I mean, I doubt Mike Tomlin would say anything because he preaches accountability on his players, but then will, tend to do the exact opposite. But, I mean, like I said, Pitt Panthers and the Steelers, I think they have a good working relationship. They share the same building. You would have think that, hey, go over there, be professional, snap your pictures, and get back over to this side of the facility. But Beanie Bishop took it into his own hands, and I'm shocked. I was listening to 93.7 The Fan when this news story came out today, is that Doran Dickerson, former Pitt Panther, said that if he was down at the facility and there were actual, Pitt players around, that Beanie Bishop might have been leaving there with a little bit of a bloody lip. So, that's on Tomlin and Rooney as well, just saying, hey, if you got any problem with this, I mean, they've had a handful of West Virginia guys. They got another one in Zach Frazier. And you would have said, hey, go over there. Don't do any stupid stuff. You're not in our side of the building. It's like going over to your neighbor's house, taking a dump, and then walking out without even flushing. Back to some of my segments here. Let's talk about the Steelers trade rumors real quick surrounding Jonnu Smith. We've gone over this on this show here for ever since Friday is when I think this came out, if I'm not correcting. So Adam Schefter came out a couple days ago saying that the Steelers were in contact with the Miami Dolphins. Well, not that they weren't in contact, but that there was trade chatter between the Steelers and the Miami Dolphins for Pro Bowl tight end Jonnu Smith, coming off a career year and in the best year for a Dolphins tight end in franchise history. I think at the time we all could come to the agreement that this was more so Jonnu Smith's agent just trying to stir something up because Smith, I think he wants to stay in Miami on a reworked contract, but the Dolphins don't seem to want to comply at this point. But I think, we all could come to the conclusion that a trade probably wasn't going to happen. Adam Schefter tried to stir things up again last night, saying that that the Steelers are back in it with trade talks. He talked about wide receiver Gabe Davis visiting the Steelers. He's actually in Pittsburgh today. I have no update. Haven't seen any update on if he met with the Steelers today or if he's doing that tomorrow. But Schefter last night said Steelers renewed conversations with Dolphins tight end Jonnu Smith, who is seeking a new contract. The trade between the Steelers and Dolphins is still alive per source. Didn't think there was anything to it. I thought that was the agent stirring things up again. Until last night, later in the night, Schefter was the first to report that tight end Donald Parham Jr., Steelers' third tight end behind Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, tore his Achilles during yesterday's OTA practice and is now likely to miss the entire 2025 season. A brutal injury for Parham. First off, I want to say this is brutal. I wanted to see what Donald Parham can do in this offense. I was hoping to see him next to Darnell Washington. He's actually taller than Washington. He's like 6'8", but he's not necessarily from the blocking type of tight ends. He's more a receiver, but I would have loved to see him in this offense. A mountainous, tall tight end who can go up and catch the ball. He would have been the Steelers' number 2 receiving tight end. I would have loved to see that. Darnell Washington said that he enjoys Parham on the team, said it was good to have someone else that is bigger than him in the room, and that he was learning some things for Parham, and this is just unfortunate now. On the other side of that, Adam Schefter's tweet about the Steelers renewing conversations with the Dolphins about possibly trading for Jonnu Smith, that trade doesn't sound crazy at all anymore, because now you lose a tight end and you lose your second receiving option. Darnell Washington still isn't that well known of a receiving threat yet in his career. So Jonnu Smith, a dude who's coming off of a near 1,000-yard season as a tight end down in Miami, I could take him on the Steelers again. I probably would have taken him regardless of whether Parham got hurt or not, but you got to wonder here if there's actual substance to this trade now, and if the Steelers, I would, if they are going to get more aggressive in this trade talk, maybe send over one of your third-round picks, because you're going to get, 1-2 of those in terms of compensatory picks. Hell, you might even get like 4, depending on how some of your old players do elsewhere. So I take Jonnu Smith at this point and sign Gabe Davis. That'd be a hell of a, end to the offseason. You bring in 2 more weapons for the offense, and I think you shore up the pass game and you get a somewhat reliable options to replace George Pickens. The only person who I think is opposed to a Jonnu Smith trade at this point is Connor Hayward. I saw this a little bit before I went live. He also spoke today after their OTAs, and he was talking about the Jonnu Smith trade being possible. He said, "We all see it, but let's be honest, it would be complicated having him and Pat. They're kind of the same type of tight end. That's like having DK and George. You got to have one." Not sure I agree with Connor Hayward there. I think the Steelers very well could have kept George Pickens if he just wasn't a complete and total distraction and nuisance off the field. So Jonnu Smith, come on down. Arthur Smith, if he likes to run his 2 tight end offense, I take him. Run out him and Pat Freiermuth, 2 experienced pass catching tight ends. You bring in Darnell Washington on pass blocking downs. Also, could that be Connor Hayward talking about a little bit out of protectiveness there? I don't think Connor Hayward anymore is just because he's Cam's brother. I don't think he's holding on too tightly to a roster spot anymore too. I mean, behind Freiermuth, Washington, and Parnham prior to this, he was tight end number 4. The only reason he could make the team, unless he had a phenomenal camp in preseason in which he's, getting big yardage and scoring touchdowns galore, maybe as a fullback is what he's transitioning to full time. Also, he brings some special teams prowess. So I think that might have been a little bit of a self-defense quote there from Connor Hayward, but we'll see. Definitely think a Jonnu Smith trade is more warranted now than ever. I'd be over the moon if we get him and Gabe Davis here in the not too distant future. Gabe Davis, I think he will meet with the team tomorrow. Like I said, I didn't see anything on him today. I think he'll meet there tomorrow. Probably just going to be, check his physical because he did visit with other 2 teams and they didn't sign him, was cut from the Jaguars due to a failed physical designation. So we will see how both of these things play out. If anything breaking happens, I will go live as soon as possible, just like how I did today with the Penguins breaking news. And that news right here, going to recap it one more time. Dan Muse today was hired as the Pittsburgh Penguins' 23rd head coach in franchise history. Elliot Friedman at 12:16, so quarter after 12 this afternoon, said that there was momentum growing toward Dan Muse becoming the next Penguins head coach. It became official not too long after that. Dan Muse, 42 years old, has 20 years of coaching experience, started out as an assistant coach in the NCAA and USHL, eventually became head coach in the USHL, and was also head coach of the Team USA National Development team from 2020 to 2023. Also has some NHL experience. He's not just coming here straight out of the minors. Was an assistant coach with the Nashville Predators for 3 years, and the past 2 years he was an assistant coach with the New York Rangers. Talked about this a lot here. I think I was on for nearly an hour and a half breaking down this trade, but reading what I've seen, he is exactly what Kyle Dubas, I think, was looking for in a head coach. In the ending of when Kyle Dubas and the team parted ways with Mike Sullivan, Dubas said that he wanted a coach, younger guy, not a retread around the league, to come in here, focus on development, and that, wanted to also fix some things on special teams. That's exactly what Dan Muse is here. 42, very young for a coach, not recycled, only was an assistant coach at 2 stops in the league. Developed a ton of players. I read off the rosters of the U.S. National Development Program team. He coached current Penguins Rutger McGroarty. McGroarty was his captain on Team USA, the U18 Team USA team. He's also coached Cruz Lucius, another Penguins prospect, and he coached in the USHL, if not college, Mark Johnstone, who's also a player in the Penguins organization. So he's developed quite the bit of players. Think the Hughes brothers, James Hagans, who's going to come out of the draft this year, Ryan Leonard for the Washington Capitals, and Zeev Boyum, defenseman for the Minnesota Wild, and quite a bit more that I'm forgetting right now. Kyle Dubas, after making the hire official today, he released a statement on Dan Muse. I'm going to read the statement again for you fine folks. What separated Dan was his ability to develop players, win at all levels where he has been a head coach, and his consistent success coaching special teams in the NHL. From his success in developing college and junior players to his impactful work with veteran players during his time in the NHL, Dan has proven Dan has shown a proven ability to connect with players at all stages of their careers and help them reach their potential. Additionally, his leadership of special teams units at the NHL level in both Nashville and New York produced elite results consistently. His overall body of work, attention to detail, and vision for our group showed us that he is the best coach to take our team forward. We're excited to welcome Dan and his family to the city of Pittsburgh. So great stuff there from Kyle Dubas. I think some other things, I think I have them here. I saw a couple new things that I did not cover on the live stream today related to Dan Muse. Where was it? Here. Thought I had something here on Dan Muse. Maybe. Right here. Dan Muse. He has won in Pittsburgh before. That's what I wanted to say. He was an assistant coach with Yale when they won the NCAA national championship in 2013. That game played at the then known as Consol Energy Center, which is now PPG Paints Arena. So he has won on one of the biggest stages in hockey as a coach in Pittsburgh before. So that is great to see there from Dan Muse. And one more time, welcome Dan Muse to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the city of Pittsburgh. I think it was a good hire, guy who I think will bridge the gap between, getting these prospects up here while also appealing to the veterans on the team. Penguins might be, a little rough for another year or two, but, that seems to be the case with Dan Muse. When he was a head coach at certain places, maybe year 1, year 2, did not go, did not result in any massive successes, but year 2 or 3 of Dan Muse's prior stops around the league, he has won national championships and international tournament gold. All right, I think we have reached the random news segment portion of the show. We got officially now 11 minutes until first pitch for the Pirates and Astros. Going to talk real quickly, moving back into football, about what went on at Steelers OTAs today. I think they got one more day tomorrow. Mason Rudolph back out there slinging it, fresh off of telling people he's not apologetic and he doesn't care about making an appearance with President Donald Trump a couple of days ago. Slinging it. Roman Wilson today looks awesome again. I mean, I'm saying it every single day at this point, but hey, it's worth noting. He looks healthy, made an awesome sideline grab today, and he looks like, even if you do bring in a Gabe Davis, Davis has no security of being this team's number 2 wide receiver the entire season. So keep up the good work, Roman Wilson. Also, Calvin Austin, he was working on some hand drill today. I saw a video of him working with Zach Azzani, the wide receiver coach. And I'll put it this way. Zach Azzani's on his knees. He's holding up these bags on his arms. And Calvin Austin is smacking the absolute hell out of them. Pretend that Calvin Austin would have been like a Pitt player in the Pitt locker room, and the bags would have been Beanie Bishop. That's how hard he was smacking those. Looking at some other things here that went on at Steelers OTAs here today. Don't think I have anything else. No, nothing else on Steelers OTAs for the most part today. I think an easy day. Beanie Bishop, he took up most of the headlines. Some other football news here. The training camp schedule for the Steelers was announced. Training camp will kick off on July 24th. Here's the full schedule right here. So all players will report to St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, July 23rd. Beginning on Thursday at 1:55, practices will be open to the public. They go that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from at 1:55 p.m. All practices open to the public. Players will then have the day off on Monday, July 28th. Back at it Tuesday through Thursday, 1:55 p.m. start time again, open to the public. Friday, August 1st. I think this is earlier than usual, but the Latrobe Memorial Stadium, the Friday night's lights practice that they do at a local high school stadium, that will be Friday, August 1st at 7 p.m. I think that's a little early prior to previous years, but I'm not quite sure. Saturday, Sunday, back at it in Latrobe, 1:55 p.m. Practice start time, open to the public. Players are off Monday, Tuesday through Thursday, August 5th through the 7th. Same deal. Practices at 1:55. Off Friday, no practice because that is a travel day to Jacksonville. Saturday, they play their first preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That will be a 7 p.m. start time on KDKA. Sunday, they're off. Monday through Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, they practice again 1:55. And then they actually practice as well on Wednesday, August 13th, but that will be a practice not open to the public. That is when they will leave St. Vincent College. Thursday, joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2 p.m. That is closed off to the public. And then off Friday and Saturday, they will have their second preseason game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that is the training camp schedule for your Pittsburgh Steelers. Here, as a matter of fact, for those of you who watch and maybe are unable to find the schedule, let me do this real quick. Right there is the full training camp schedule for those of you who would like to see it. Friday Night Lights, always a very popular one. If you are planning on attending that, get there early because it fills up fast. One of the cooler things, I think it's cool enough that the Steelers, they still go to St. Vincent College where they, have a lot of history there, but also do this Friday Night Lights practice where they all ride in on school buses and interact with the fans the most there. Okay, back to the random news story segment of the day. Beanie Bishop, he also talked about Aaron Rodgers today. Of course, same as always, status quo on the Aaron Rodgers front. No new news on him joining the Steelers at all. If he does decide to join the Steelers and grace us with his presence ever. So Bishop was talking about he was actually in the facility when Aaron Rodgers visited a couple months ago, said that he and Corey Trice were in the Steelers weight room working out when Rodgers apparently told Bishop and Corey Trice saying, y'all gonna keep effing around or y'all gonna work out. Interesting choice of words there from Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure it was in like a fun, joking way, but still kind of weird when a guy who is not showing up for any sort of work and keeps blowing the team off. Apparently, he's going to call out some players on them effing around. Interesting quote there from Aaron Rodgers. Even more interesting timing there from Beanie Bishop saying that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take that the right way. Speaking of Beanie Bishop, well, the secondary of the Steelers, I should say. Chad Schrader, he brought it up right off the bat here today. Let me go back to the comment section. That the Steelers signed a safety today. Indeed, they did. They signed safety Quindell Johnson. I believe he's a former Chicago Bear to a one-year contract worth $960K. Johnson, he's bounced around the league a little bit. This was a deal announced by his agency representation. He's 25 years old, has appeared in 9 NFL games, which of course were with the Chicago Bears, all 9 of those. Recorded 3 tackles and 1 interception. I think he spent some time on some other teams as practice squads at that point. And then he's gotten released from them. I think he's spent time with the Rams and the 49ers as well. Also a Memphis product. Steelers, I know they like Ohio State players. They might like Memphis players a whole lot too. Johnson is a Memphis Tiger. Also Calvin Austin III and Rock Taylor. lots of Memphis guys all of a sudden on the Steelers. So welcome to the Steelers, Quindell Johnson, for now. Last thing here, I believe football related, is that we got to see the first trailer for Madden 26, and I gotta say that game looks awesome. Looks like we might be getting actual player intros. TJ Watt, he comes out doing his big jump. Also, we saw DK Metcalf in a Steelers uniform doing his sign language standing on business thing. And I believe the only thing that we saw that was anti-Steelers in that trailer was Myles Garrett hitting Jalen Warren to the ground, which, hey, I mean, congratulations, Myles Garrett, who's built like a gladiator, picked on one of the smallest guys on the team. Moving back into hockey for a second, the Penguins, they had the addition. Oh no, actually, there's a couple more here. Steeler stories. Ben Roethlisberger, he was on his Football and podcast, and he cleared the air a little bit about how he feels about Mason Rudolph. I think all of us knew that Ben and Mason, they didn't have the most endearing relationship when both men were on the Steelers. But Ben talked about that he has apparently no love or no hatred, no animosity towards Mason. He said, when they drafted Mason, I made comments about, and I don't even remember my comments, but it was like, why did we draft Mason? It wasn't a shot at Mason. I didn't have a problem with Mason. They could have drafted Patrick Mahomes, whoever. It wasn't a shot at the person. It was, how are we making our team better by drafting a guy in the third round who probably is going to sit on the bench? I would have said the same thing if they would have we had Marquise Pouncey at the time, if they would have went and drafted a center. What are we doing? Go find a need in the third round. I don't have a problem with Mason. Are we boys? Are we friends? No, we don't need to be, though. But I'm rooting for him. I want him to be successful. I want him to lead this team. But fans, and I'm sure some media people pick up on this that will totally disagree, think everything I say is full of crap, and most of them probably have never played or been in the situation anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Interesting words there from Ben. I still don't think whatsoever that he and Mason, talk at all. Think he's just saying that to keep face there, that he's rooting for Mason, but we all know that Mason and Ben didn't really get along. Ben never took Mason under his wing or, showed him the ropes. And Mason, back then he might have come off a little combative, maybe like, oh, here, I'm a third round pick, I'm here to take your job. So understand where both sides are coming from there. But Ben saying that he doesn't hate Mason and that he's rooting for him. Also, last thing here on the Steelers, Charlie Batch spoke today on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams, and he said that he would go with Mason Rudolph to open up the season if Aaron Rodgers does not show up. Charlie Batch's quote, I still believe that Mason Rudolph should be the starter as the season opens up. Allow Aaron to work through the nuances of the offense. That's just my personal opinion. But if he signs prior to training camp starting and allowing him a couple of weeks to learn this offense, then Aaron Rodgers probably would be the starter. I agree with Batch there. If Rodgers is going to wait till, well into Latrobe, which honestly, does anybody here expect Aaron Rodgers to go live in a college dorm room? Like, seriously, he's too preppy for that, in my opinion. But I agree with Charlie. If Rodgers isn't going to show up, go with Mason, even if he does sign. Because Mason's been here, he learned the offense, and Rodgers, even though I'm sure he's a quick processor and learner of the playbook, I don't think it's going to play out too well for him that very quickly. Last thing here on the Steelers, by the way, happy birthday to Steelers tight end Jesse James. He turns 31 years old today, and remember, folks, Jesse James caught that ball. Back into hockey here, finally, for a second. the Pittsburgh Penguins, even though they added a new head coach in Dan Muse today, they apparently lost a player, Vasily Ponomarev, who's one of their better prospects in the system. He is heading back to Russia to play for Omsk in the KHL. He was acquired, of course, in the Jake Gensel trade. Posted good numbers in Wilkes-Barre, but couldn't stick in the NHL. Got called up on sporadic occasions and barely played in the games that he did. So he apparently is on his way back to the KHL to play in Russia's top league. Dan Kingersky, who is a good beat reporter for the Penguins, he says that the news of Ponomarev signing in the KHL was a bit mangled. A KHL team traded his rights to another KHL team. Says that that's all, nothing to see here, but this thing has gotten more and more legs to it. I wonder, what's true. I think that Ponomarev may officially be gone, but we'll have to see here. I'm sure maybe when Dan Muse or Kyle Dubas has a press conference on Dan Muse, there might be a question about that. Speaking of Dan Muse, one more thing that I saw here about him is that another Pittsburgh Penguins insider, I believe Michelle Crecchiolo, goes under Penn's Inside Scoop on Twitter, said that she spoke with Yale head coach Keith Elaine about Dan Muse, and Elaine spoke highly of one of his former assistants, saying he's a guy that is going to give Pittsburgh and the Penguins every ounce of what he has to help that team be better. So, very encouraging words there. I'm a big Dan Muse fan here, and hopefully things pan out for him. He can get this team back on track and develop these awesome young players, Rucker McGroarty, Ville Koivunen, Harrison Brunick, so much more in record time. Last thing here, I think, hockey-wise, this is a cool gesture. I want to say the NHL Scouting Combine is either currently going on or will be starting here soon. And an awesome gesture. I said this on the stream earlier. Somebody, I think with the NHL, put up a picture commemorating Ray Shero, former Penguins general manager, who passed away earlier this year. He was always at these scouting combines and very involved in the pre-draft process. So, again, RIP, Ray Shero, you did good. Moving into baseball here for the final bit of random news stories today. We talked about Bubba Chandler earlier. Mike Burrows, he is on the bump right now for the Pirates, facing the number 3 hitter, Jose Altuve. Burrows has 2 outs already here in the top of the first inning, already up to 12 pitches. However, if he does indeed get optioned possibly back down to AAA after this game, Bubba Chandler could come up. Bubba Chandler, in Baseball America's top 100 prospects list, he moved to number 3 on that list. I have no idea where he was before. He's number 2 in MLB prospect pipeline, behind Roman Anthony, the top hitting prospect in baseball from the Red Sox organization. So Bubba Chandler, number 3. Also, this guy keeps moving on up. Connor Griffin is number 27 in Baseball America's top 100. This kid keeps lighting it up down there in single A. I'd honestly move him up to double A at this point, because he is quickly showing that he can shoot up this pipeline very, very quickly. However, will that happen? No, because this organization thinks that developing elite bat like Connor Griffin, keeping him down in the minor leagues for probably 5 years, is going to do a whole hell of a lot good, helping Paul Skenes in the current team right now. Looking at some other stories here. This hasn't been made official yet, but I did see it earlier today. Former Pirates catcher last year, Yasmani Grandal, I believe he was with the Red Sox on their AAA team, and he, I guess, opted for free agency, and rumors has it, this from Francis Romero, a Dominican baseball player coverage personality for Baseball Writers Association of America, said that Grandal is expected to bring an end to a successful 13-year MLB career. He departs as the greatest Cuban-born catcher to play in the major leagues in over a century. Indeed, things might not have panned out for the majority of his time with the Pirates, but can't knock Grandal. You know, if this is it for him in his baseball career, his Major League Baseball career, two-time All-Star, over 4,100 at-bats, nearly 1,000 hits, also nearly 200 home runs, a career 236 batting average. If that is it, Yasmani Grandal, things might not have gone smoothly here in Pittsburgh, but you occasionally hit massive home runs. Congratulations on a great career. Also, last thing here that I have on the Pirates here today, some injury updates from Colin Beasley at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Emmanuel Valdez is now 2 weeks post surgery for repairs to his left shoulder. No updates on him. He's probably done for the rest of the year. Colin Holderman has taken a pause of healing per Pirates Director of Medicine Tom Tomzich. He's dealing with right thumb tenosynovitis. I do not know what that is. He received a cortisone shot last week, but has not returned to throwing. They will reassess his status on Friday. Jared Jones, now 2 weeks removed from elbow surgery. Again, not Tommy John. He'll be out the rest of this season. Hopefully not all of next season as well. Justin Lawrence, who's dealing with right elbow inflammation. He's rehabbing it. Still no update on him. No, any sort of set return to action for him. Dari Moreta, he's continuing to rehab in AAA Indianapolis. He's returning from Tommy John surgery that he had about a year and a half ago now. Tomzich said that he would have no issues with recommending him for game readiness very soon. So we could get another arm for a struggling bullpen. Dari Moreta could be returning here soon. Tim Meza had serial imaging done on his shoulder last week. He is given clearance to begin a plyometric program, which he will do for the next 2 weeks. Sounds like he's not any close to getting back either. And the last name here, Johan Oviedo. He threw a bullpen in Bradenton. He too, like Dari Moreta, is coming back from Tommy John. I think they actually had Tommy John surgery at around the same time. He's expected to throw a live batting practice later this week. Will probably be another, month and a half before we even think about him returning to the major league team. So with that, Ryan Gusto is on the mound for the Houston Astros. 2 down in the inning, so Cruz and Andrew McCutchen got out. Brian Reynolds up to bat. Never heard of this Ryan Gusto dude before in my life. I think this might be a bullpen game for the Astros, but the Bucks and their bats, they will somehow make him look out to be prime Justin Verlander when he was a Houston Astro. So we will watch and see how this game plays out. Thank you all for joining me today for both live streams, for the breaking news live stream of Dan Muse being hired as the 23rd head coach in Pittsburgh Penguins history, and then joining me here this evening recapping what all went down in the rest of the Pittsburgh sports world. Beanie Bishop being a clown. That's my inner Pitt guy talking about it. The Bucks sucking, probably going to continue sucking here tonight. OTA's update. Jonnu Smith could be a Steeler after all. We'll wait and see, but going to go recoup from today. I think we've been 2.5 hours combined on stream here today, if not more. I think the longest stream I've had since, aside from doing Bucks games and the NFL draft a month ago. So we'll see how things play out here with the Bucks tonight. Brian Reynolds in a 3-2 count. questionable hold of the bat there, but it goes his way. We'll see how things pan out tonight. Bucks will play this game tonight. They're in again starting at 6:40 tomorrow night. I'll be back live before then, probably around the same time between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. With that, I'm signing off for the evening. Thank you all very much for joining me here today. Like and share this stream. Also comment on it after the fact. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Again, thank you to all of you who subscribed today. We gained 11 subscribers today. Excuse me. Let me do one more check here. Yes, still at 401. So thank you to all of you who subscribed today. I appreciate it very, very much. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow with some more Pittsburgh sports news. Have a good night, everyone. Peace.